Victim Support will tomorrow tell the victims of the mosque shootings how it plans to hand out the remainder of the millions of dollars donated to them. It has faced criticism from some victims for failing to consult with them over how the $10.7 million should be divided up, with claims not enough has been given to the severely injured or those suffering mental trauma after witnessing the horrific shootings. So far, it's handed out $7 million, with the most going to the bereaved, followed by the injured and then witnesses. Tomorrow's announcement will cover how another $2.5 million will be divided up, with Victim Support promising that this time it has listened to victims. Conan Young reports.
Victim Support says it will communicate directly with the 290 people on the police victims list via a public meeting in Christchurch tomorrow before it goes public with how it will divide up its final payments. It released a statement yesterday claiming to have spoken to more than half of those affected through a series of meetings and phone calls. From those conversations, it says it's identified 3 key areas that victims want them to focus on, including giving more to those in greater need, prioritising the bereaved and severely injured, and taking into account those who have suffered mental trauma. Abdulaziz, who confronted the shooter at the Linwood Mosque and is credited with saving lives by throwing an EFTPOS machine at him, says it's a pity Victim Support didn't take this approach right from the beginning. He says the money raised should have been split evenly between the 290 victims, and prioritising some groups over others has only divided the community.
I already called Victim Support and I told them, look, you guys doing this, you're going to cause a lot of problem among the Muslims. You're dividing them and you put a lot of division and make him enemy with each other. But they all refused. And if they would have done the right thing, they should have done it that time.
Witnesses who have suffered mental trauma following the shootings, many of whom have still not been able to return to work, have so far only received $12,000 each from the funds raised by Victim Support, compared to $45,000 given to the bereaved and $25,000 for the physically injured. Abdulaziz says he doesn't expect tomorrow's announcement will reflect the impact the shootings have had on those who saw it unfold.
That person was inside the mosque. He's seeing people getting shot in front of him and or next to him, and he thinking he will be the next person. And you know how much mentality damage their brain and everything, and they don't come as a victim.
An advocate for terror attack victims, lawyer Andrew O, says it's pleasing to hear the last tranche of funding will be given out based on people's individual needs. He says this should have been the approach for the second tranche of funding as well, which was instead handed out on a one-size-fits-all basis.
They should have really taken stock and at that point and said, look, how are we distributing? And if it's a needs-based, well, we need to figure that out. I mean, effectively, they're saying that now. They're saying we're looking at a needs-based system, but they've done no assessments. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work.
Andrew O says while it might be too late for the Victim Support money, there's still a lot of fundraise money that has yet to be distributed.
Christchurch Foundation has got, $6-7 million, I think. I'm not in, and I sort of discussed that they're in negotiation with other parties for more money. So what I'm hoping is that lessons are learnt from this process and can be picked up. But I suspect the government are going to have to stand in and provide a bit of assistance to get some of this needs assessments work done, because I don't think they can expect organisations such as the Christchurch Foundation to actually do that work.
Abdulaziz is planning to continue his fight for a fairer process. He's organising a protest outside the office of the Government Minister coordinating the welfare response for families, Megan Woods, on Friday. Abdulaziz isn't interested in being given any of the money himself and says he's speaking up on behalf of fellow Muslims at the Linwood Mosque, who he says deserve extra support and need to be heard. Kei o te tahi aho, mō te hōtaka o te ahi, ko Conan Young tēnei.